The chime above the door gave a soft ding as she stepped inside. The boutique was quiet, too quiet, the kind of silence that isn't peaceful, but tense. Like the air itself was holding its breath. Rows of satin and lace lined the walls, delicate and expensive, lit like museum pieces. A sales associate glanced up from behind the counter. Then did a double take. The woman who entered was stunning. Not in an overdone, look-at-me way, but in a quiet, commanding way that made people notice. She wore a silk robe over a fitted dress, long braids down her back, gold hoops, no makeup, didn't need it. Skin like polished mahogany. She moved slowly, as if she belonged there, and she did. But the blonde behind the counter didn't think so. "Can I help you?" she asked, already defensive, lips tight. The woman smiled faintly. "Just browsing," she said, her voice low and smooth. Another employee, a younger brunette, leaned toward her colleague and whispered something. The blonde's eyes narrowed. "This section is for VIP clients only," she said, suddenly louder. "You might be more comfortable at one of our outlets. There's a—" The woman didn't blink. She looked the blonde straight in the eyes. "I know exactly where I am," she said. That should have been the end of it. But the blonde stepped in front of her, physically blocking her path. "I'm going to have to ask you to leave," she said. "Company policy." A tense pause. Other shoppers glanced over, unsure whether to keep pretending to browse. The woman stood still for a moment. Then she nodded once, as if confirming something to herself. She turned and walked out, not saying another word. The chime dinged again. And just like that, she was gone. But not for long. The store slipped back into its usual hum, or at least, the employees tried to make it seem that way. The blonde returned to folding silk bralettes with extra precision, like nothing had happened. The brunette scrolled her phone, pretending she wasn't checking TikTok, where she'd quietly filmed the whole interaction, just in case. Customers kept glancing at the door. A few left. 3 minutes passed. Then 4. Then, slam. The door flew open with a force that made the chime stutter. He walked in like a storm in human form. Tall, expensive, sharp-lined. A navy Tom Ford suit, white shirt unbuttoned just enough to suggest power, not sloppiness. Tablet in one hand, fury in the other. "Where is she?" he demanded, voice echoing off the marble. The blonde blinked. "I'm sorry. Delilah Muir." "Where is she?" The brunette slowly lowered her phone. "Sir, I'm not sure who," the blonde started. He cut her off. "She was here 5 minutes ago. 6'1", braids, beautiful as hell, wearing our limited edition Tokyo silk. You saw her." The air shifted. The blonde swallowed. "She left. I asked her to." "You what?" I didn't recognize her," she stammered. "She didn't look like." "Like what?" he snapped. Silence. "She's the face of our new global campaign," he continued, low and lethal. "Our highest paid model. Our brand. And you kicked her out like she was trash." The blonde opened her mouth. No words came out. He turned the tablet around. There she was, Delilah. In full glory. Posing in the very lingerie that hung behind them. A blown-up version of that photo would be on every billboard in Times Square next week. He stared at them both. "You're done here," he said. "Clear out your lockers." "But," the brunette started. "Both of you." The door slammed again as he left, not waiting for a response. Behind him, the boutique was silent, but this time, not from tension. This was the silence of consequences. Delilah sat alone at a corner table in Café Lune, 3 blocks from the boutique. She stirred her espresso slowly, gaze unfocused, calm, almost too calm. Her phone vibrated once. Then again. Then it didn't stop. She glanced at the screen. One new tag at Dalalamure. 13 mentions. For missed calls, Mark, agency. She sighed, tapped a video. Grainy footage played, a shaky phone camera from inside the boutique. Her. Standing still. The blonde stepping in front of her. The phrase loud and clear. We don't serve people like you. Then the video cut out. She exhaled slowly, thumb hovering over share. She didn't need to post it. Someone already had. And it was catching fire. 20k views. 35k, 70k. Hashtag Dalalamure. Hashtag luxury while black. Another buzz. This time, a message from Mark. Delilah, it's everywhere. I'm handling PR but, are you okay? She didn't reply. Instead, she opened Instagram and posted a single photo, no caption. It was her walking out of the boutique, back straight, head high. Someone had captured it from behind. Poetic. Almost cinematic. Within seconds, the comments flooded in. Can't believe this happened to you. This store is done. They messed with the wrong woman. We ride at dawn. A waitress brought her the check. It's on the house, she whispered. Anne. I just want to say. I saw the video. That should have never happened. Delilah smiled politely. Thank you. She stood, pulled on her coat and stepped out into the cold spring air. She didn't need to yell. Didn't need to rant. The world was already doing it for her. Delilah didn't rush. She sat at a quiet corner table in Café Lune, where the light filtered in warm and soft through tall windows. The kind of place where time slowed down, and no one asked questions if you sat alone with just one espresso for an hour. She was still. But her phone wasn't. Buzz. 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 Notifications rolled in like a rising tide. Her screen lit up again, a repost. A tag. A flood of new followers. She finally picked it up, thumb casually gliding across the glass. A video. Someone had filmed it. Shaky. Low res. But the audio? Crystal clear. We don't serve people like you. She watched herself on screen. Calm. Dignified. Silent. She remembered the sting, not from the words, but from the assumption behind them. It wasn't new. But this time, the world had caught it in real time. She clicked into the video's profile. The caption read. She didn't say a word. But her silence was louder than anything I've ever heard. And the hashtags. Hashtag Dalalamure, hashtag luxury while black, hashtag not your mascot. 70k views. No, wait, 103k. The number changed as she stared at it. She closed the app. Took a breath. Sipped her espresso. The barista came over, a tall guy with a nervous smile and tattoos down his forearms. He set a pastry on the table. I didn't order that, Delilah said softly. He scratched the back of his neck. I know. It's on me. Just saw the video. I'm sorry. For what they did. She met his eyes. No anger. No smile. Just presence. Thank you, she said. And just like that, the energy shifted. Not because she was famous. Because she was seen. Her phone buzzed again, this time a call. Mark, agency. She let it ring. Another call. Then a text. Mark, Delilah. It's everywhere. I've got news crews calling me. Do you want to comment? Interview. Control the story. She stared at the message. Then typed, slowly. Delilah, no comment. Let the truth do what it does. She hit send, then scrolled again. Comments were pouring in under the video. She didn't curse. Didn't scream. Didn't flinch. She just left. A whole queen. This is what grace under fire looks like. If this is who y'all tried to erase, I can't wait to see who she becomes after. Then came the journalists. Then the influencers. Then the brands. Brands who had once turned her down with soft apologies about different directions, now slid into her DMs with praise, opportunity, and carefully curated empathy. She ignored them all. She opened Instagram. Took a deep breath. Posted one photo. A still shot, her back turned to the boutique, coat flowing, heels sharp on the pavement, head held high. No filter. No caption. It didn't need one. In less than 5 minutes. 200K likes. 6K shares. Thousands of comments. One comment pinned to the top. They tried to shrink her. Instead, she became the blueprint. The boutique's Instagram account had never seen this much attention, and definitely not the good kind. Under their latest post, a soft-lit ad of a blonde model lounging in silk, the comments section had turned into a battlefield. Delete your account. You racially profiled Delilah Muir and thought we wouldn't notice. Y'all fumbled the face of your brand. Luxury isn't just for white girls. Wake up. The PR team moved fast. Sloppy fast. By noon, a statement of regret was posted. Black background. White text. That same tired font everyone uses when they've been caught. We are aware of the incident that occurred at our Madison Avenue location. We deeply regret any offense caused and are committed to diversity and inclusion in all areas of our brand. That was it. No mention of Delilah. No mention of what actually happened. No accountability. The internet was not having it. Offense caused. Say her name. Y'all wrote this with a paperclip and a broken stapler. Regret doesn't mean S*** without change. Meanwhile, the 2 employees had gone dark. Accounts wiped. Comments disabled. But it was too late. Screenshots were forever. Delilah hadn't said a word publicly since her post. Not a tweet. Not a story. Not even a like. And that silence? It was louder than anything. Part 1, The Internet Doesn't Forgive Fast. The official account of L'Essentiel, once known for soft light and curated glamour, was under siege. The latest post, a pale model lounging in blush-toned satin, had nothing to do with the scandal, but the comments told a very different story. Y'all still posting like we didn't watch you humiliate the woman who made this brand relevant. Aesthetics don't cover racism. Delete this and start over. Completely. In less than 24 hours, Delilah's silent post had outperformed the brand's entire marketing budget. The boutique's PR team sat in their downtown office, scrolling through chaos, eyes wide and hearts racing. Get a statement up, barked the head of PR, fingers flying over her keyboard. Now. Just say we're sorry. But we haven't even contacted her, one assistant mumbled. I don't care. We need to look human before this buries us. They drafted in a panic. Rushed. Generic. Black background. White text. That tired, robotic tone the internet could smell from miles away. We are aware of the incident at our Madison Avenue location. We deeply regret any offense caused and are committed to diversity and inclusion. They posted it. They sat back. And the internet lit it on fire. The apology had been up for 11 minutes. In that time, it had already been memed, duet, and dissected. One viral TikTok flashed the apology text while a creator dramatically sipped wine and added, If I had $1 for every time a brand said, "We deeply regret any offense caused," I'd have enough to buy the silence they're always hoping for. Instagram creators were breaking it down in carousels. Twitter threads were naming names. Tumblr was doing what Tumblr does, quoting Audre Lorde and turning rage into poetry. Meanwhile, former employees of L'Essentiel came out of the woodwork. One ex-sales associate posted a video in soft lighting, lip trembling slightly. "I worked there for 2 years. What they did to Delilah. That wasn't a one-time thing. That was the culture. If you didn't look a certain way, they didn't want you in the store, let alone working in it." Another posted screenshots of internal emails. Dress codes. Client suitability notes. Words like aspirational and brand-aligned circled in red. It was no longer just about Delilah. It was about every woman who had been made to feel she didn't belong. Back at the cafe, Delilah watched it all unfold. Her phone buzzed again. Mark was calling. Again. She finally picked up. His voice came through fast, anxious. "Have you seen the fallout? They want to meet. They're offering." Delilah cut him off. "They're not offering. They're reacting." A pause. Mark softened. "So, what now?" Delilah looked out the window. The city moved as if nothing was burning. But she could feel the shift. Not panic. Power. She smiled faintly. "Now. We let the fire breathe." The warehouse studio was buzzing. Photographers. Stylists. A camera crew. An espresso machine that hadn't stopped hissing since 7 a.m. Everyone knew, today mattered. Mark spotted her first. "There she is," he breathed, as if he hadn't been sure she'd actually show. Delilah walked in like the storm had never touched her, poised, radiant, zero makeup again. She wore a long camel coat, vintage Chanel boots, and an expression that said, "Watch what happens next." Mark jogged up. "You okay?" She nodded once. "Where's the stylist?" He blinked. Right over here." Delilah was already walking toward the racks. She didn't wait for direction. She picked out a set from the upcoming line, black lace with gold threading, high-waisted, elegant, unapologetically bold. She held it up. "This one." The stylist hesitated. "That's supposed to be for." Delilah raised an eyebrow. "It's mine now." He nodded. "Yep. Of course." She disappeared behind the changing screen. Minutes later, the first flash went off. Then another. Then the entire room fell into a rhythm, her, the lens, the light, one image more commanding than the last. At one point, she stood directly under the studio spotlight, head tilted, hand on hip. "You sure you want this one to go out first?" the photographer asked. Delilah smiled, not sweetly. In this shot, she was wearing that lingerie. Holding the brand's shopping bag in one hand. In the other, the receipt, crumpled and burned at the edges. A silent message: "You tried to erase me. And now I'm the headline." Mark grinned. "That's the one." Monday. 8:57 a.m. Fifth Avenue was waking up, coffee carts, early shoppers, yellow cabs honking like they were late to somewhere that didn't matter. And then it happened. The billboard. 40 feet tall. LED. Impossible to miss. Delilah Muir, center frame, lit like a goddess, draped in midnight lace, gaze locked forward like she was looking straight into your soul. Behind her, the name of the brand in soft gold script. But it was the tagline underneath that made jaws drop. Not just the face of the brand. The reason it has one. No logo. No hashtags. No need. People stopped mid-step. Phones came out. TikToks went live. Inside the boutique just a block away, the new manager, a sharp black woman in a suit sharper than the scissors in the back room, stood at the front window watching it all unfold. She didn't smile. Just nodded to herself and turned away. Delilah had rewritten the rules. Across social media, the campaign exploded. Not just the images, but what they meant. Luxury wasn't changing. It had changed. Interview requests rolled in. Talk shows. Panels. Magazines offering covers. But Delilah declined them all. Instead, she posted a video. Just her. Sitting on a white couch. No music. No edits. Some people asked why I didn't speak up sooner. Truth is, I didn't need to. You all saw what happened. You turned a moment into a movement. And now we build something better, for all of us. In the comments. Fire, fire, fire. I've never bought lingerie in my life and now I'm buying 3 sets. She didn't cancel them. She eclipsed them. This is history, and she did it without raising her voice. The meeting was scheduled for noon. Boardroom. Glass walls. Polished table. A view that screamed bold money, even though the air in the room was now heavy with the scent of new rules. Delilah walked in like she wasn't impressed, because she wasn't. Mark was already there, seated, clearly trying not to look too smug. He rose when she entered. "They're ready for you," he said, like it was a favor. She didn't nod. She didn't need to. Inside, the board members were seated in a U-shape. Majority white, majority male, majority uncomfortable. A few cleared their throats. One stood to greet her. "Ms. Muir. Thank you for coming." She took her seat at the head of the table. Not offered. Taken. A woman in a sleek gray blazer, head of global strategy, leaned forward. "We want to apologize again. Privately, and personally." Delilah raised an eyebrow. "You already did." "Publicly." "Because you had to." A pause. "Well," the woman continued, "we also want to offer something meaningful. Permanent." She slid a folder across the table. Inside, contracts. Ownership breakdowns. A signature line. "We're offering you a stake in the brand. Creative control over the next 3 campaigns. And your own line, designed by you, labeled under your name. Muir." Silence. Not because it was insulting, but because it was unexpectedly smart. Delilah didn't touch the folder. Not yet. She looked around the room. Measured. "Why?" she asked. A man in a navy suit shifted in his chair. "Because, you are the reason we're still standing." Delilah leaned back, calm and unreadable. Then, finally, she smiled. Not because she was flattered. Because she knew this wasn't just a win. It was a transfer of power. The pen hovered over the contract. Everyone leaned in, lawyers, executives, Mark, even the intern pretending not to watch from the hallway. The silence was thick with anticipation. Delilah looked down at the line. Her name was printed there. Delilah Muir, bold, capitalized, waiting. She didn't move. Instead, she closed the folder. Looked up. "I have one condition." The room shifted. A few eyebrows raised. A few backs straightened. The woman in gray, of course. "What is it?" Delilah took a breath. "I want the boutique where it happened, the one on Madison, renamed. Not rebranded. Renamed." A beat. "To what?" the man in the navy suit asked, cautious. Delilah's voice didn't rise, but it hit like thunder. "The Muir room." A pause. "You kicked me out of it," she continued. "Now I own it. No one argued. Mark let out a quiet "damn" under his breath. The intern in the hallway fist-pumped silently. Delilah opened the folder again and signed. Smooth. Unbothered. Just like that, she became part owner. Creative director. And legend. 2 months later, the ribbon-cutting ceremony for the Muir Room looked like the Met Gala had spilled onto the street. Models of every shape, shade, and story stood proudly in front of the redesigned storefront. The windows were filled with the new Muir line, elegant, bold, radically inclusive. And inside, on a central display, framed in gold, was the photo that started it all. Delilah. In the Tokyo silk. Holding the scorched receipt. No caption. It didn't need one anymore. A young girl walking by with her mother stopped, pointing. "Mom, is that her? The one from the story?" Her mom smiled. "Yes, baby. That's her." Delilah, standing nearby, heard them, and just for a second, she turned and winked. History didn't just remember her. It wore her name.